Chiefs and how they could still get in, but the biggest hurdle may be themselves. Here's Rich from yesterday.
I did look up what would put the Chiefs in the playoffs, and what it would be for them to win out, which I know is a tall order based on the way that they've been playing. Part of that winning out would obviously beating the Chargers. They'd need the Chargers then to lose 2 of their final 3. With that game in Denver at the end of the season, one of the losses would have to be that. They also take on the Texans at home, Cowboys for them as well. If that happens, the Colts would have to lose twice. We'll see how Phillip Rivers looks. And then the Ravens and Dolphins both of them would have to not win out. And the crazy thing is when you read all of that in one fell swoop, the question is which is the toughest to expect? And the crazy thing is when you say this about the Chiefs, it's the winning out.
Yeah. What's the craziest part of them getting in the playoffs? Rich said it's likely them winning out. That is insane. Imagine thinking about this a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, where we would say the Chiefs have a path. They have 4 games left. They just have to go 4-0. And we would also, okay, where are you going with this?
Well, at this time, normally we're talking about them having the number 1 seed.
Right, so they don't have to win any games really at that point. They've already clinched. But do you guys agree with the assessment from Rich that the hardest hypothetical to imagine would not be Chargers losses or Broncos losses or Texans losses, Colts, whatever it may be. It would be them winning 4 games in a row, Chargers at the Titans, Broncos at the Raiders. Is that the hardest part of the Chiefs' path to imagine here?
Yeah, I think so. Kansas City taking care of their business and going 4-0. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't have a lot of confidence about this game against the LA Chargers in Arrowhead this weekend. I think they've got a tall task in front of them. Now, I get it. The Chargers have a short week on the road, and they already got the best of Kansas City. So what the Chargers want to do, how they want to attack the Chiefs is already on film to some degree. But what I will say is this. It's hard to game plan for a quarterback that has the physical skill set of Justin Herbert. And what I saw on Monday Night Football, his willingness to use his legs is exactly what killed the Kansas City Chiefs in their Week 1 matchup. You think about the Chargers being able to salt that game away in Brazil. It came on Justin Herbert on a 3rd down conversion, using his legs to scramble for a 1st down. They were able to run out the clock. Last week, he was the leading rusher for the Chargers. He converted 4 first downs with his legs. That Kansas City Chiefs defense, they've given up the 3rd most rushing touchdowns to opposing quarterbacks. So the big challenge will be for Steve Spagnuolo and the Chiefs, how do we contain Justin Herbert and his ability to use his legs as a weapon? Because that's the part that's hard to account for when it comes down to the X's and O's.
If the Chiefs win this week, lose this week, done, like completely done, right? Maybe mathematically as well. But what then happens? I was just thinking about this. Like, do they start shutting people down if they're mathematically eliminated coming up? Like, do you think that they play out the season in terms of, like, do they risk Mahomes' injury? And maybe it's not this week. Maybe I'm getting my weeks wrong. But whenever they're mathematically eliminated.
Well, they have a 10% chance right now.
Right. So anything more than 0, you still play everybody. But do they consider shutting people down? Just throwing this out there, does Kelsey think about if he's going to retire after the season, announcing it now to have a final home game, a swan song kind of to the crowd? I mean, I don't know.
Or does he want to play out the remainder of the season knowing that this could be it? And this is the last opportunity he has to play football, these last 4 games.
No, I understand that. I'm saying...
okay, you're saying do they start shutting guys down? Who do you want them to shut down?
Okay, so...
You mentioned Travis Kelsey.
I have to consider shutting down Mahomes, and I'll tell you why. It's not fair to the fans. It's totally not fair to the fans. There's no chance he'd want to be shut down. If I had such a bad year this year, like they have, I cannot now ruin next year within a ruined year this year. God forbid he gets hurt the remaining games in a meaningless game, and I don't have him all offseason or into next season, or I don't have him. We know how hard this man works. Whoever the new wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, offensive linemen, whoever the new guys are that are brought in, my guesstimation is the moment they're official, he's working out with them in Dallas in the offseason where he lives. He's bringing them to his house. He's doing all the stuff that we know guys at his level do. If he can't physically do that because he gets hurt in a game that is literally for nothing, that would drive me nuts if I'm the Chiefs.
I understand it, and you don't want your quarterback to have to deal with the risk, but think about the position that puts Mahomes in from a leadership standpoint. The organization has put him above the rest of the guys in the locker room. Now, we understand his value relative to the rest of the guys on the Kansas City Chiefs, but you can't elevate your quarterback and seemingly handle him with kids' gloves while you allow everybody else to put themselves in harm's way for games that you deem quote unquote meaningless.
Yeah, I mean, I never played professional football. Breaking news. In real life, I would have no problem if it was so obvious that there is someone ranked above. I would tell everybody.
No, I understand that.
Like, he's different than the rest of you.
I understand what you're saying, but the nature of the sport is different.
I understand.
Because every time you walk on a football field, there's a chance you might not walk off.
And I can't take that risk with him.
No, I understand that, but you're treating everybody else as if they're expendable except him.
Yeah. They have families
and that
too.
puts him in a hard situation when it comes to a leadership perspective.
Sure.
So, and then the other thing that you have to consider, Patrick Mahomes is a football player. This is when football players play football. You're taking away an opportunity for him to play a kid's game. You only have so many years where you can do it. Unless you're Phillip Rivers or Tom Brady, apparently. You're taking opportunities away from him to play the game. So I hear what your suggestion is. It puts Mahomes in a tough spot from a leadership standpoint, but it also can put the organization in a tough spot because the player might not be on board with that.
So here's what could happen on Sunday. And we'll get to the Chargers part in a second here. They can be eliminated on Sunday, the Chiefs. All right, so because this is from Cam Pratt, our producer, they can be eliminated because they've lost the majority of the tiebreakers. So these are the scenarios that could knock them out. They lose against the Chargers. Buffalo win or tie at New England, certainly a possibility. Jaguars win or tie against the Jets. Texans win versus the Cardinals. If all of those results happen, Kansas City would be eliminated on Sunday.
And all four of those seem likely.
So there is a chance we come in on Monday and the Chiefs are eliminated from the playoffs in week 15 of the NFL season. That would be stunning, right? I mean, this is, as small as you said, all of those seem likely.
Well, do you like the Chiefs or the Chargers in this matchup?
I'm the wrong person. I'm going to pick the Chiefs no matter what blindly, but the majority of people will tell you the Chargers, but even though the Chiefs are favored by 5.5 DraftKings Sportsbook.
The Chiefs are favored, but
just play out the Chargers.
We could see the Chargers winning, absolutely.
I would say Buffalo. I'm nervous as a Pats fan. So Buffalo winning, absolutely on the table.
Buffalo, you could absolutely see beating
Jaguars are going to beat the Jets. Texans are going to beat the Cardinals.
If both those teams don't beat, if the Jags don't beat the Jets and the Texans don't beat the Cardinals.
Major issues for those two teams. Yeah. We're sitting here today with the likelihood that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be eliminated from the postseason by the time we show up on the air Monday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern.
That is true. And I think that if that ends up happening, the Kansas City Chiefs have to consider drastic measures to open up another window for Patrick Mahomes to compete for championships. And that means potentially moving off of guys that you felt like were stalwarts for the organization.
Do you think there's a chance that they just look at it as we've played so much more football than everyone else that this dip was inevitable? They have had 10 straight playoff appearances, 7 conference title games, and 3 consecutive Super Bowls. That is a lot of extra football and a lot of extra wear and tear on those guys' bodies.
Yeah, but it didn't happen with the team that they're most compared to.
The Patriots. I was thinking the same thing.
Never happened like this.
Thinking the same thing.
Even the year that they missed the playoffs when Brady was hurt, it didn't happen like this. It never happened like this. And if I'm not mistaken, Brady's first full year as a starter, his third year in the league, the year after the Rams Super Bowl. No, but I think they had a winning record.
They did.
So even when they were 9-7, didn't make there's not if the team that they are most often compared to never had something that looked like this. Not one time in 20 years. So they've played more football that you're bringing up? Absolutely true. There are more games now than New England played, right? 17 versus 16. So even just based on that. But it never happened like this.
Tom Brady is not playing, and yet the seasons are still adding to his lore, adding to his legacy.
Yeah.
Never took a snap while not eligible to make the playoffs.
That is insane.
Not once. Not one time.
Yeah. But, I mean, here's the thing. I think Kansas City has to do whatever it takes to put Mahomes back in the mix when it comes to championship contention.
No
Because
doubt.
he's that good. And I do feel like the front office in a lot of ways has been complacent. They've had some swings and misses when it comes to being able to put weapons around him, the supporting cast, the offensive line. They moved off of Joe Tooney. That felt like they had to because of salary cap constraints. That turned out to be a bigger issue than anybody could have anticipated. So, yeah, I think that Brett Veach has his work cut out for him this offseason. They've got to take a long, hard look at some of the decisions that they made and be honest about what the players that they brought in are capable of and potentially bring in some different guys in order to open up another window for Mahomes.
And if the Chargers win this weekend and eliminate them, we'll start talking.